What's up? Oh, you don't have your headphones on yet?
I can hear you, but yeah, I don't even have
Oh.
Bluetooth.
No, cat. Don't you dare. Oh, man. It's Friday. Yay.
No.
Yay. We got we got invited to a student's birthday, and then Lucas's birthday party is this weekend as well, so we got a busy weekend. Yay.
Yeah, we're pretty stacked too. We got there's a there's an Italian traveling circus that's coming to town, well nearby, and they themed everything around horror.
Ooh,
So even the big top is black and red.
nice.
And so we're doing that tomorrow. And then obviously we're gonna take Emma and Brittany need to watch Wakanda Forever. So we're gonna do that.
Mm.
So and there's a robotic competition that we're gonna take my daughter to go see what's next because she just did her middle school robotics competition where she did pretty well. And
Very cool.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
it sounds like a stacked weekend. Well, it's funny you mentioned Wakanda Forever because everyone's probably wondering what's up with all the graphics and why Daily Cog and Marvel Multiverse Mayhem seem to be combined today, and that's because we need to review Wakanda Forever, and because of Nick's scheduling, he couldn't do it, so I held the door open and said, psst, psst, Manny, come in through the back. The door's open. Let's run this joint,
Truth is he got
and
fired.
yeah, he got fired. Anyways, that's what we're doing here, guys. So, welcome to Marvel Multiverse Mayhem X Daily Cup of Genre here on the Genreverse Podcast Network and YouTube channel. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and give us a subscription there on the YouTube channel. We really do appreciate it. Thanks to all 1,080 of you subscribed on YouTube as of right now. All of the different podcast apps have different follower counts, so I can't remember those every all of them every time. But thank you for following us as well. I'm Kyle. That's Manny. For those of you that might not know Manny because you joined and watch or listen only to Marvel Multiverse Mayhem, he's my co-host over on the Daily Cup of Genre. We've also done several other things together, including the old Cobra Kai review series we had, which kind of fell off after the pandemic and awful things the last couple of years. But hey, welcome to Marvel Multiverse Mayhem, Manny. This will be the first time ever that there is not just some bleeding heart Marvel fan out there that thinks everything is the greatest Marvel product since the last greatest Marvel product. Oh man, Wakanda Forever. I guess Manny got to see it early. Got to go to a premiere, which was fun, and you guys can check out his kind of thoughts, both his written review at lrmonline.com as well as on a discussion a couple weeks ago on the Daily Cup of Genre. But I'll go ahead and give my kind of spoiler-free thoughts at first, and this is a good movie. It's not quite a great movie, although there are great things in it. There's a burden this film has, and I'm not even talking about Chadwick Boseman, which I think they handled tastefully when I saw how it was executed. But the exposition is heavy, and there's times where and look, I get it. You had to have it. There's things about Namor that you got to explain. There's things about Wakanda and some of the characters we've haven't seen in a while that you got to explain. And I'm not quite sure that there was a non clunky way to do it, but nonetheless, those were some of the kind of like lows on this film. A lot of really great heart, a really good group of performers. Everyone from Okoye to Nakia. Of course, Shuri did really great. Angela Bassett killing it as Queen. And I cannot remember the young actress's name, but the lady that played RiRi Williams, I don't know the character from the books, but she kind of executed what I thought of as a modern college student with a big brain. That's I thought it was fine. Namor, Tenoch did a great job. They managed to make him every bit the jerk he is in the comics, but not at least not as of now, and hopefully not ever not rapey. Because let's face it, Namor in the comics is, well, he's that. If you've ever read anything about him and his obsession with Sue Storm, yeah. So I think he did a great job. A lot of the costumes, again, amazing. A lot of the sets design when they were real looked really good. Overall, I enjoyed it. There were those times though where you're just kind of either bored or it's just kind of clunky pacing, editing. But again, I don't want to excuse it, but I don't know if I can't, say, hey, this is partially why. We also know that this film had a lot of production issues. They had to pause production a few times. There's some CGI issues that are definitely not that great. And the final battle, the scale of it feels off, but we'll talk about more in detail a little bit later. But overall, I really enjoyed the core of the film. I think it executed a lot of things really well. It's been one of the best Phase 4 projects. That's for certain. It's up there with Shang-Chi and Loki. It did not rely on any nostalgia gimmicks. And it didn't really rely on cameos, although there is one really good, not really a cameo, but small bit part from a past character. But it didn't hinge on that. So at the end of the day, I give this movie a B+ for great heart, great performances, a good story, but some clunky exposition and a little bit of desire for better from some of the effects and that final battle. So what do you think, Manny?
Well, I mean, if you read my review, I'm not changing this because I've had 3 weeks to think about it now. Yeah, I can't give this film anything less than an A. I agree with you with some of the CGI, and it's very minimal, but in which
when it hits
I think,
bad, it's bad.
I think that your general audience doesn't notice it.
Yeah,
and a lot of times it's just the burden of us being very particular to certain things. Yeah. But there were some moments where I raised an eyebrow like, oh, whoa, what was that? But
I think there was a CGI Shuri just walking. Like I think there was a shot of the Panther not doing a flip, literally just walking. That was almost completely CGI. And
there's a moment underwater with Namor's face that really that was glaringly bad.
Yes.
With that said, I left the theater just in awe with Ryan Coogler as far as
handled. Yep.
As far as the assignment that he had. He had a very difficult one in the way that he already had Black Panther 2 written. Yeah. And then unfortunately, due to tragic events, he had to change it.
Yep.
And not only change it, but also figure out a way to not just write off the character, but figure out a day with a cast and crew that was grieving and how to really show that was going to be okay. And I think that's where I think for me, I allowed the exposition. I was okay with these kind of long moments of conversations and reflections, and also just being able to take a breath. And it seems like Coogler allowed a lot of these characters to have their moment and kind of and talk about how their character was grieving. You see some characters who plainly left and just kind of left it all behind. And you see characters who never really got over it. And then you see characters who were trying to move on. And the different ways that you process grief are shown in the movie. Yes. And I thought that it was done as the best way you can. And then you also had the big challenge, and that's why I gave big points to James Wan when he did Aquaman, was to introduce an underwater world, a whole
Yes.
civilization, in a movie where we had previously already introduced Wakanda, and that was done very well.
Mm-hmm.
My question was always going to be how is Telokan going to be handled? Is it going to be an afterthought to Wakanda? Is it going to be a kind of presented kind of as the bad guys in particular,
Mm-hmm.
or is it going to be presented kind of as in the same light as kind of Wakanda was? And I felt like they did it well. They did it well. They did it justice for what it is. And they were able to give it a very, very easy and simple backstory to where it only required just a few minutes of exposition of this is why it is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh yeah, that makes sense because conquistadors are assholes,
Yeah.
100%. No, we're
Hey,
not.
bravo to Ryan Coogler. Would have been so easy, and there are other filmmakers and other studios that would have just, focused on the Americans. Bravo for showing the assholishness of many countries.
Yeah, oh
Many
yeah,
countries,
yeah.
past and present. Bravo, because that's the dirty secret about humans. We are all trash.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Especially one's named Kyle.
especially one's named Kyle. You ever hear George Carlin talk about Kyles? Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm just kidding. Kyle's okay. And then I think my other big takeaway was it didn't feel the same. It did not feel the same as Black Panther, and it didn't feel the same as other Marvel projects.
Mhm.
It felt very, despite the fact that we're dealing with characters we already know, didn't feel the same. It was very unique in the way the story was presented, and then even was able to surprise me at some moments with some things that I will not talk about because it's probably some of the fun of it.
Yeah.
And so in the way some things are presented, and then despite the fact it was just really well balanced, I think, in my opinion. It didn't lean too heavy on anything in particular, but Coogler, with what he's done in the past with the first Black Panther, with Fruitvale Station, with Creed, and now kind of help, and now Michael B. Jordan is going to be doing his own thing as well. Like, I'm very excited to see that with Creed 3. I wish he would do more movies, more of the MCU films, because of the care he takes, but I just don't know if he would care to do anymore. And that to me was overall, I felt like Namor, he was more of an anti-hero, I think, than a villain, because you kind of understand where he's coming from as far as protecting his people with the way that they've been treated before. So I felt I left the theater also feeling really well represented as far as the beauty of what the Mayan culture was, and then as well as a character that I think wasn't gratuitous and wasn't kind of like your 60s 70s Indian portrayal of Indians that you'd sometimes get.
Yeah, no, like I said, I did not know of when it comes to some of the exposition. I'm not talking necessarily the heartfelt moments. I'm talking more of the just, hey, information download moments. I don't think there is a better way they could have done it. Like I said that in my like Twitter review, if you will, on our Discord, which you guys should totally join. It's really just a matter of it had to be done. I'm not sure it could have been done any different, but it's still, for me, there were times where it felt clunky. But we'll have to get into the spoilers to figure out where it loses the rest of the points. Overall, guys, if you haven't seen the movie, ending of our spoiler-free segment, it's good, borderline great. Definitely one of the best Phase 4 projects. A good send-off for Chadwick Boseman. I think they handled that very well. And yeah, let's get into some spoiler chat here, Manny. And I actually want to go back to Namor. I want to start off with him. Excuse me. Throws out the word mutant. That's cool, I guess. They've already half done it, so it's kind of like we've had a mutant moment in Multiverse, we've had a mutant moment in Miss Marvel, and now we have another mutant moment. It's kind of like, okay guys, how many firsts can we have here? But he drops that. You get his backstory, which was interesting. The idea that, you know, meteorite with vibranium would have likely had pieces go elsewhere, and some of it landing in the ocean makes sense, you know. rocks generally tend to break up into multiple pieces entering Earth's atmosphere, so it was a good way to connect them. His, you know, people basically all took the heart-shaped herb of sorts, but it was a little different having grown where it did. I like the world. I do find it interesting that they kind of made it very realistic for deep ocean. Aquaman was very bright, very comparatively, I should say, bright. It was like ocean depths, even though the lights were murky, and there was lots of shadow play, and it required them to get up close and personal whenever you wanted to show the people, you know, which I liked. I think my biggest issue with him was his motivation. Like, I get what they wanted to do, you know, hey, make him force Wakanda to help them, and kind of at the end of the film he has the idea that that's the position that they are actually in. He just got there a different way. I really couldn't understand why it took him the long way around. It was kind of like the dude had the brain to get to the point that he wanted without going through RiRi the way he did, without kidnapping the princess the way he did. And it just became one of those moments where I was kind of like, yeah, I get what you guys are trying to do. It feels kind of clunky. Yeah, man, I dig the character, and like I said, he wasn't rapey. I kept waiting for them to do something like make a pass at Shuri, you know, marry me and we'll rule the seas and the land, or some crap like that, you know. It's a really good interpretation of the character. I'm glad he didn't die. I did think for a moment there they might kill him off, and I was gonna be like, not again. Killing off good villains and good characters. I'm interested to see what comes from him in the future. And Tenoch Huerta, I'm hoping I said that halfway decent. Did a really good job. I really like. Dude stayed wet. Like, how many times do you see an actor come out of water and it's literally supposed to only be a couple seconds of time in film, and they're mostly dry, their hair is just slightly. No, he's like, dude, I'm fish man, I'm soaked, and I dug that. A lot of dedication to his performance.
You know what bothered me was, and this isn't even a movie thing, it's just a character thing. I think the wings are the stupidest thing ever. Like, I don't even care if it's just like, you know how like they kind of retconned Wonder Woman to all of a sudden be able to fly. Like, I would have bought that easier than these dumb little wings.
Someone said that for this film, even though they didn't actually mention it, that they I guess it kind of connects to the deity anyway. They were supposed to be more like inspired by I think it's a hummingbird that has deity.
But the wings are
they are kind of goofy, but they are comic accurate.
They are, but that's further proof that not all comic accurate things need to go into movies. I don't know if you've seen they did like comic accurate versions of Black Adam, where they took The Rock and made him look comic accurate, and then asked, "Did you really want to see that?" And it's like, yeah, no,
that's what I ask about the Mario voice for Chris Pratt. It's like, did you really want video game Mario
I do
for
want
2
video
hours?
game
I
Mario.
don't think you do.
Yeah, no.
I think you're
No.
dumb.
No, I think
you don't want video
no,
game
I think you just don't
Mario.
like Mario. Yeah, no, that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
I think that I was very happy with the fact that he didn't die at the end.
Yes.
Because but I don't think Coogler's that kind of director either. And I don't think that you spend all this time developing a civilization and then not showing more of it, or not proceeding to wait and see how it plays out, because he played the hell out of that character, very, very well, very very, very strong, and very never really did he feel like he was not the most powerful guy in the scene, even as he's having his confrontation with Shuri, and I think it was really handled very, very well. It's very simple attire, so a lot of it has to be his presence, really.
Yes.
And in the way he delivers lines, or man, like those were some very intense confrontations he had with Angela Bassett, and I enjoyed them very, very much. So I hope that from what I've seen so far, he's been very well received by audiences, and I hope it continues so that we can have more of him. And I don't know in what way. I never liked the comic book character. He's
a jerk.
It was
he's a jerk, and he's an abusive and pervy guy.
It was never, but he was never attractive in a way where I would want to read one of the stories featuring him. And this way, I thought that, especially with, you can't really make a character, you can't go too far that way with any character, especially if you're going to be branded by Disney. So to be able to pivot and make the changes to make him the way he is now currently in DCU canon, I thought was done MCU. Really, really well. What did I say?
You said DCU. It's okay, guys.
Oh,
it's 6:40 in the morning for Manny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier with the warriors that he had with him, and then some of those fight scenes that they had together, where they're really just going toe to toe and really matching each other's wits, but in different ways. Done very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about our heroine for the film, Shuri. I really, as I mentioned in the beginning, the way they handled Chadwick's passing, having an unknown illness. I'm guessing that it's a throw to cancer, which is what actually took the actor. But T'Challa is dying. Shuri's trying to save him, trying to replicate the heart-shaped herb that Killmonger destroyed. And they managed to kill him off screen without killing him off screen, which I appreciated. To me, this was better than having Leia in Rise of Skywalker the way they did. Better than having Egon in Ghostbusters Afterlife the way they did that as well. I found that creepy. I know some liked it, but it's very subjective on what you do with a dead person on film. Shuri herself, is it Letitia Wright? I'm sorry if I'm mispronounced the name, but Miss Wright did a great job. She did prove herself to be capable of leading a movie. This borderlines on an ensemble of sorts with the Queen, with RiRi, with Okoye, and Shuri. But Shuri is definitely a lead. If anything, I would say Angela Bassett was a co-lead, if anything. But bravo, Miss Wright. You did a good job, delivered a good performance. I was surprised. The one thing I did not know in this movie, but I knew about mommy dying. I knew about the kid at the end. We'll get to that. I knew pretty much. I did not know Killmonger showed up in the ancestral plane. And let me say this: that pisses me off because I really wanted him to come back in some way, not to be Black Panther or anything like that, but as an antagonist again. Thunderbolts was always a dream, to have guys like Zemo and Killmonger on the same team and see what that dynamic, that type of power struggle would be like. So that was upsetting, but I was very pleased. The only thing that kind of sucked, like I said, there's times with her in the suit where I don't even think it was a stunt double in the suit. I think they CGI'd some stuff that they didn't need to. There's a scene on the beach where she's just walking like around, like from one side to the other, and it looked all CG. And it took me out of the film for a moment, because I'm like, you really couldn't find someone to walk in this. It's like, holy crap. Yeah, man, I think Shuri did great. What'd you think about when you saw did you know about Killmonger before you went to the premiere?
The moment I heard about it was when I saw somebody tweet, Michael B. Jordan's here. And it was like, oh,
at the premiere.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a moment where it's like, wait, why is he? I mean, of course it was like, oh well, he's probably just being supportive of the film, because there's many other people there, of course, but
yes,
but that one's a little it was a little we'll see. But the way that they brought him in was done really well, because Letitia Wright, who we're actually talking about, is I did not know she can carry her own film.
Nope.
It is a
you
very,
and I both.
It is a very, very
concerned
difficult
about that
film to carry, because of the weight of the themes and what the characters are going through, and especially because you've already set yourself up as really the little sister of the main actor, the daughter of the queen, the just so. In already a complex movie, it had to be written in a way that was that took her on a journey, and that she had one hell of a journey, because she was really anchored by the amazing talent around her, with Angela Bassett, with Tenoch Huerta, hell, I'd even say with Chadwick Boseman, and with his memory, and with his brother's memory, and then as well as kind of the lightheartedness and the reminder that she's still a young girl in Ironheart and RiRi Williams. So you with enough exposition, which is why I don't mind it at all, you're able to take her on a hero's journey where even she meets up again with, she realizes that she's not really coming to, she has more in common with her cousin than she did with her brother at that moment, or with her mom, and
with Namor, even, because he even calls out, you said you wanted to watch the world burn. Let's do it together.
So coming to terms with that rage and that anger and that sadness that she has, and doing so through the lens of all these other characters, brilliant way to have her step up. So by the time she does get into the suit, I was 100% okay with it. I was like, for the purpose of this movie, screw any thoughts that I had of being upset, really, of all the people taking over for these giant characters. She has 100% for me earned that right.
Yeah. Well, the taking of the mantle is still an interesting subject that will be debated for a long time. However, she can hold it on her own, and that is good for the movie at the very, very least. I know a lot of people have different feelings still And that post-credit scene means maybe she might not always have the mantle, but
I don't
see
necessarily
what
even feel
happens.
like she necessarily wants it either.
Yeah,
though. But she's
absolutely.
doing it because she has to. She needs to.
Yeah.
Because there's no one else to do it. I mean, hell, you had M'Baku as you know, as strong as he is, and he's not really vying for it. Like he's happy where he is, really. And then as a strong warrior as Okoye is, she's like, hey, I'm just here to do my job, really. You can tell that that is such a position that even people of, I'd say, power, people, some of the strongest characters in Wakanda, they're not even looking, they're not even gonna try.
Yeah. I found it really interesting and well executed storyline to show her struggling with finding what type of leader she wanted to be, which was similar to what T'Challa went through. You know, she plays into the anger, aggression, vengeance type thing, but there at the end, you know, realizes that maybe a little bit of a balance. Maybe there's room for some violence and some honor, some nobleness, as Killmonger reminded her that T'Challa was too noble. Yeah, overall, really great job. Let's discuss the other characters, kind of wrap up all of them together before we get into the final battle and post credits. RiRi Williams, Miss Thorne, Dominique Thorne, did a fine job. Like I said, I don't know much of the character from the comics themselves. I know she's supposed to be a super smart, super capable college student. They seem to have executed that fairly well. I still stand by, as brilliant as she is, she makes her own quantum computer to solve locking herself out of her own laptop. But her first suit is that clunky, and she does the quantum computer in a few months, does the vibranium detector in a few months. The suit she's been working on for a long time. Some of that, I don't know. Some of that writing again feels kind of clunky there.
It happens in comics all the time.
It does.
Just like if you look at Moon Girl
in the movies mostly.
Yeah, if you look at Moon Girl, like, yeah, she does, like, some of these kids do like the most absurd things very, very quickly.
Yeah, so and then something that seems like it would be easier, such as the suit, would be easier than the quantum computer, but the suit takes longer and is bulkier, clunkier. You know, Tony's stuff has been out for a while. She would have had access to footage and some plan. Like I said, it just felt kind of clunky to have her in and I get that it's to have her get an upgraded suit later, but she could have had a pretty good, sleek suit to start with and just got an even better one in Wakanda. Regardless. She executed the role of, and that's nothing on the actress or the character. That's on the writing side of things. She was great. I enjoyed the stuff with Okoye having to face her failures, face her, hey, you let Killmonger take over. You stayed loyal to this position versus a person or a family, which is always an interesting discussion. You know, the U.S. military, we swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States, meaning that if a president is violating that, we're not supposed to follow their orders. But what is a violation? You know, people have different thresholds. So I really appreciated them showing that. Her losing the spear and the generalship was intense. Queen Ramonda, Angela Bassett did an amazing job. Her dying was wonderfully executed to extract maximum emotion from the theater, and I think they did a really good job in that line from Namor, "Your Queen Now," was good and intense, and I dug the way they did that. Winston Duke slaughtering it as M'Baku again. Love every time he's on screen. The dude just chews it up. He's a fun character and a fun actor. And of course, Martin Freeman coming back as Everett Ross. The worst part about that was God, what's her name? The Val, his ex-wife and the lady behind the scenes pulling the strings for the upcoming Thunderbolts. I didn't like her. I don't like her character very much. She seemed extra here. Like we didn't need her. They were just making sure that she's like anyone could have arrested Ross.
No, she's present. Yeah,
she's present because of future projects, and it kind of took me out of the film because really she felt forced in there. So yeah. Other than that, man, I love all the supporting cast and side characters. Anything you wanted to mention in particular?
I hated how the second suit for Ironheart looked more like a Gundam or like a Power Ranger than it did kind of more like a.
I just hated the CGI.
The CGI didn't help for it.
that was awful.
It reminded me of the evolution of Scyther in Pokemon, but red.
Yes, I can see that if you had like a robotic Scyther.
Right. So like I liked the first suit better for that. I think for that reason, because I was like, okay, a college student could, a super smart college student could probably pull off more of this kind of clunkier looking suit. And
if it hadn't taken years, if it was only a couple of months old, yeah, but taking her years bugged me. And again, that's writing.
Well, she's figuring it out. Like, she has to make it.
She built a quantum computer. They wrote this, not me. Yeah, I'm going off of what they wrote. She should have been capable of more.
I'm gonna argue that getting parts is more difficult than writing a program. But yeah, I thought her character was great, so I do want to see more of her. But I just wish. And this is not going to change for future Marvel projects either, because apparently they're very abusive to their CGI teams. Right. I just wish that we would have seen her suits with the same care that we've seen like Iron Man before.
Yeah.
They just looked very like single pass, maybe. I don't know what you'd call it. Like they didn't really go into that much.
They needed some more samples in their rendering. It was disappointing. It really was.
That part was just like I don't like whatever like, but her character was great, and it was something I was also worried about. And then I don't think too much about she's a college student and she's like super smart, because Marvel has like 6 of those. So that doesn't worry me. And so that was fine. I want to touch on Mabel Cadena, and then also Alex Levanli, I think
Namor and
Atuma.
Oh,
some fantastic characters. Anytime Atuma and Okoye were in the same shot together, it was
fun.
I was excited to watch them go at it, because they were just going toe to toe, and they look amazing. I'm still not 100% sure how much I like the respirators, but okay, like if there's anything that was kind of weird, it was the respirators. But I was like, all right, like whatever.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And like it makes sense, but like aesthetically, I just hated the way they looked. But I get it. That's me personally nitpicking. Yeah, and I agree with you, as Winston Duke is always great in whatever he does in his as a Baku. Just really, really cool. Overall. This movie doesn't work if you don't have the right actors.
Yeah,
because even some of those moments that you call clunky and everything could destroy the movie.
Oh yeah, if it wasn't the right cast.
If you don't have the right cast. But
100%,
this movie has the right cast, and you can tell they were 100%. I'm not saying other people aren't, but sometimes they're not. There's sometimes where you can tell an actor there for a paycheck.
Bill Murray, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I would even argue like a film like the latest Firestarter. That's a paycheck movie.
I haven't watched it, so.
And yeah, it's terrible. It's
it's the fifth version of it, so why would I watch it?
I
don't know if it's
just
5.
Things like I think it's like the second or third, maybe third. So yeah, just really really happy with it as far as casting and I mean, it's just again hats off to the director and to the writing because it's a very difficult movie to make.
Yes.
And you think they would have learned though from the battle between Killmonger and T'Challa with how bad that looked, how horrible. Yeah. So that scene alone, and then kind of some of the things that they did here really worries me about Ant-Man and the Wasp in the quantum universe, because
Quantumania.
Thank you. It is. Because the CGI is not getting better, and now you're technically in an entirely CGI world the entire time.
Yep.
So
we'll have to see how
that does
it
worry
ends up
me.
looking. Let's talk about the rest of the final battle, where the rest of the bad CGI, and where again it lost a few points for me. We know Wakanda has bigger army than what we see. I'm guessing they don't take their entire
You can't
army
fit them all on a boat.
I know. Let me get there. Hold on. I know that they didn't take their entire army because they're just trying to draw someone out, and they use this ocean to do it. However, we do know that Namor was threatening to throw his entire army at them, and I expect they did have more. How would Teleconians? I don't know what you would call their citizens, but Namor's people, his army, they did definitely have more of them. But I think what hurt, why it felt so out of scale, is both makes sense, but also hurt it was they did it in the middle of the ocean, and the middle of the ocean is very very big and empty, and it felt odd. The CGI of it all, of course, being the worst aspect of it. And again, this is not on any of the actors or the writer director. This is on Marvel for not being able to either keep their contracted animators well staffed, well paid, or give them a good working conditions and work schedule, and rushing things, changing things, all these rumors, alleged things that we've heard from alleged former animators and things. I have to say all that for to not get sued. But it was rough, and you add that in with some of the stuff with like I said, on the beach scene. Some CGI in the fight with Panther and Namor was rough. You throw that in with RiRi Williams, and you've got this odd scale where you know it's meant to be a smaller group of Wakandans. Kind of expected even larger Teleconans, whatever. It's a weird thing to try to come up with like an Arizonan or a Californian, but it felt weird to me. And like I said, it's another one of those things where I'm like, I don't think there's any way else to do this, but it still kind of feels and looks weird. But there was a lot more things on it. Did you think they were going to kill Shuri? I thought for a moment, because I knew about the the mid-credit scene. I was like, are they going to kill her off? And then be like, dude, you gotta step up for your daddy and your auntie. Like, shit.
I couldn't handle it if they would have killed Shuri, because they did such a good job at finally that, like, okay, like, as messed up as it sound, that would have made for one hell of a moment, and you would have set up Namor to be a huge villain going forward.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad they didn't. To me, it wasn't the scale that bothered me; it was the timing. I don't know if it kind of got it kind of got comical to see the Shuri and Namor on the beach and what they're doing on the boat, and then it was like, it just seemed like the I get the battle that was going on the boat. As soon as they started fighting, slowed down to a snail's pace on the boat, and like I felt like if we would have kept this the same pace that we were before, the Telocans would have been able to just outright win on the boat. At least there wouldn't have been this like weird stalemate where like they're just kind of waiting to see the results of what happened. If you're gonna do that, slow it down entirely, or make Namor and Shuri fight just a little bit quicker, or get to that moment a little bit quicker, because like the kind of the back and forth was like okay, now I just don't feel like it's happening at the same time anymore.
Editing clunkiness.
That was if there was one point that it did take me out, it was that one where it was no, they would have been able to take that boat down fairly easily if they wanted to, but for a story's sake they didn't. And you're right, I would have thought that if they would have used maybe the whales a little bit more or something like that, but of course because of story that's why they didn't. And it just it seemed a little
the scale seems a little off. Like I said, I get there being less Wakandans, even though I think that boat could have held more, maybe even more aircraft. I mean, it's a pretty big boat, but I get it, but it the setting, like you said, if throwing in the animals kind of as these giant freaking whales and stuff coming out, having some of the aircraft, because you could have had air support. They needed to fill the space and they didn't, and it kind of felt weird.
And I do think that this same plan would have worked on the beach.
Yeah, very similar.
Because you have the same bait and really you have the same people. The only difference now is I feel like there's more of a 50-50 battle, and I don't think there would have been anything wrong with because it's not like Shuri takes Namor to the middle of a desert.
She tried.
She took him to it ended up on a beach anyway.
Yeah.
So I think maybe carrying him a little bit further inland, but still being able to kind of very hazily see some of the battle in the background would have been nice.
Yeah.
But I think they could have used airships as far as the Wakandans go. You know, they have a bunch of those that would have made a logistically a lot of sense. But yeah, it got weird as far as the way that they presented that battle. But at that point, I didn't really give a crap about the battle. Like, my only concern was, is anyone going to die? And regardless of who you kill, you bastards. And they didn't. So that was okay.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about this post-credit scene shortly, because I have to start getting ready for Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, which I produce, and you guys can catch that here on the channel. So, look, as a moviegoer, I can look at that post-credits, mid-credit scene of learning Nakia gave birth to T'Challa Jr. a few years ago. I can look at it and go, hey, that's cool lineage, you know, we'll get a T'Challa in the suit one day again. But as others have pointed out, including Jonesy, there's this you have the whole representation of strong black men, black fathers in the first movie in Civil War, very dutiful sons to their dads, with Killmonger, whose dad dies, grows up fatherless, T'Challa, who grows up with his dad. Jonesy pointed out there's some imagery here where you've now got a fatherless black child being raised by a single mother, and that could play into it might not play well for a lot of people. I understand that line of thought. I can get it. Personally, I felt like it's a very Marvel thing to do, so I can't judge it. It neither made me upset or made me happy. It is what it is, and I will let I will let others talk about how they feel about that aspect. What do you think of it? Do you think he will take the mantle one day? Will the MCU be around for that, or what?
I don't think we're gonna get to that anytime soon.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I think that it was kind of the wrong move per se, because the point I will argue as far as depicting T'Challa's son in that way is that now you will have representation as far as a child who is going to have to go through the struggles of not having that father figure in their life, and hopefully being able to overcome it and become the Black Panther. So for many kids going through it now, unfortunately, it will be kind of a beacon of hope, and someone they could look up to as far as like, I can do it too. I can be the Black Panther in my story. But because of the fact that we're probably not gonna get there.
Yeah,
like it does not. Like I can actually I'm more on the side of it's more of the taking it into more of the negative connotation, because it's just shown that way, and despite it being Wakanda, like it is what it is. And it would have been a better reveal maybe in the beginning or the middle of a future movie, and we just kind of instead just take a few minutes to do something else.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I know Jonesy, and he'll speak for himself on Breaking Geek, in a private conversation, had mentioned how great it was being a dad himself and seeing that father-child relationship, and that also needs representation too, because the other way around does get shown on film and television a lot. But hey, I don't have either one of those. I grew up with my dad, and I am here in my son's life, so my upbringing, not to mention my color, is very, very different. So I defer to others on giving more in-depth opinions on that. Anyways, guys, that's going to have to do it for us. I did not intend to talk for an hour about this movie. I was hoping we could have done this in like 30 to 45 minutes, but there is a lot to unpack here, and I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Manny, thanks for agreeing to be in enemy territory of sorts. No, I'm joking. We enemy territory. I know, it's all under the same channel, which you guys can see right in front of you if you're watching on YouTube. We've got Star Wars stuff via the Cantina, anime stuff with AVR and AVR Squared. We've got the Daily Cup of Genre, Breaking Geek, covering anything and everything else that you can imagine in geek and pop culture entertainment. Excuse me, all of our reviews and podcasts, if it's not a reaction video, they will go up in audio format wherever you get your podcast from, like Google or Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and of course lrmonline.com. Go there every day for all entertainment news, needs, and opinions, written reviews and celebrity interviews, which also go up on the LRM YouTube channel. So yeah. Manny, anything else to say?
Not much. We'll have interviews for the Santa Claus up this weekend. Just trying to get through this week, y'all. It was election week, so deal with it.
And happy Veterans Day to all my fellow retirees and those that couldn't hack it and just ETS. No, I'm joking.
Jesus.
Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Guys, we'll see you next week on the Daily Cup of Genre, and hopefully Nick will be back for Marvel Multiverse Mayhem, Excelsior, and enough said.